Greetings, everyone. In this video, I want to get into a little vibe coding, but for WordPress. I noticed that there's a lot of buzz out there right now for vibe coding, and people are building lots of cool stuff, but I've not seen anyone using Windsurf to vibe code for WordPress. And so I just want to kind of demonstrate. I've been personally doing a little bit myself. I am a WordPress developer. I build themes and plugins from scratch myself personally. But now with a tool like Windsurf and using AI like ChatGTP and, Claude, we can really speed up development and also build some really cool stuff. And even if you're not a WordPress developer, especially if you're not a WordPress developer, you can use Windsurf and follow some of these techniques in order to build a WordPress theme. Now, you might ask, well, why would I want to build a WordPress theme? I can build a React or Flutter or, whatever, right? Well, WordPress, first of all, is connected to a huge ecosystem of other developers that create plugins and provide all sorts of solutions. And WordPress has been around almost since the beginning. They've been around for 20 years, around 20 years. And so it has been through just about everything the web has gone through to get to this point. But besides that, it's a really powerful content management system, and it has all sorts of capabilities built in it that you won't have to worry about vibe coding. So I asked ChatGTP. I had a conversation with ChatGTP, basically telling ChatGTP that I'm doing a screen recording of a tutorial on vibe coding, et cetera, design a homepage. So, you see ChatGTP gave some information about the homepage. I didn't like the first and the second, third layout that it provided, but ultimately I settled on this one. Now, for this project, our goals are going to be to build a full WordPress theme. Now, we're going to have more than just the homepage, of course. But in the beginning, we're going to have more than just the homepage, of course, but there's going to be stuff left. I don't know how much. I'm going to try to not make this video too long, but we'll just see what we run into. Now, over here, I've got my goals. Okay. So first of all, we're going to use the Bootstrap framework. Now, Bootstrap is a HTML, CSS, and JavaScript framework for building responsive layouts. Okay. It has it's not like dynamic in any way, connected to a database or anything like that. It's basically just columns, cards, that sort of stuff. And so instead of building all of the HTML, CSS elements, most of the time we'll use like a framework. And Bootstrap is one of the most commonly used frameworks at this time. So I'm going to go ahead and download Bootstrap. So here we go. So I'll just go ahead and take the CSS and JavaScript folders from the Bootstrap zip file. So this is the zip file that I just downloaded from here. And you can easily get here from the getting started link under download and then compiled CSS and JavaScript. Now you can also include it in your theme through the CDN, with these with these tags. But for this example, I want to include everything inside of the theme folder because I want Cascade. I want Windsurf Cascade to have access to the whole code base and not risk, assumptions being made. Like I want all of the code locally so that Cascade can observe it while making the updates. So as you can see here, we're inside of Windsurf. Now, I'm not going to give a full tutorial on Windsurf. There's plenty of tutorials on Windsurf out there. And if you have any questions, you can leave a comment and ask. But I will give a quick little overview. So over here on the left-hand side, we've got my folder. Now, first of all, Windsurf is a fork of VS Code by Microsoft. So if you use VS Code for other things, you're already familiar with most of what Windsurf is about. The main difference with Windsurf and VS Code is the Cascade. And Cascade is how you talk to the Windsurf AI and have it make changes in your code base or, make suggestions and things like that. We have these two different options with Cascade. We can write or we can chat. Now, when we chat, we are only asking questions. And so this is just a chat bot. But when we write, this makes Cascade an actual agent. And Cascade is capable of actually making changes to your files locally. So right now, inside of our theme, we've got, we have this folder, and we have our theme folder is WP Vibes, and we've got a CSS and a JavaScript folder. Inside of this CSS folder, you'll see all of the different Bootstrap CSS files. Inside of this JavaScript folder, you see all of the different Bootstrap JavaScript files. And that's all we've got in there. Now, inside of my root project directory, I also have this VS Code folder. And in here, I have my SFTP .json file. And what that does is that allows my Windsurf to connect to my server where WordPress is actually hosted. And so you can see over here, if I click this SFTP, you'll see that under the SFTP Explorer, I do not have a Vibes folder. So if I refresh this, you'll see it's literally pulling what's on the server. And if we come over here, this is actually the WordPress website that we're going to be building the theme for. As you can see, this is wpvibecoder.com. And if we come here under themes, you'll see these are the themes that we've got installed. And if we come back over to Windsurf, you'll see that match 2023, 2024, 2025. So these are the three themes that are on the server. Now, once we build the WP Vibes theme, we're going to see it appear here. This is a very clean, empty WordPress site, nothing but the defaults in here. We're going to use advanced custom fields. So we're going to use Advanced Custom Fields Pro in order to build all of the admin fields and all of the custom post types and the theme options panel. And we are going to use Gravity Forms for all of the form building. And we are going to make sure that all of the links and navigations are part of the WordPress menu system. Okay, so, and our goal is to build this homepage. So let's go ahead and begin. The first thing that I always do with Windsurf is give it a rules file. And this rules file right here, basically what we're doing is we're giving Windsurf instructions to follow every time we do a prompt. Now we can give global Windsurf rules, and this would be applied across all projects. But we can also give project rules. And so that's what we're going to do now. So here under Windsurf, the first thing I'm going to do is click on settings and then click manage. And then right here under rules, we're going to add workspace rules. And that, let me come back over here. That creates this Windsurf rules file right here in the root of the directory. And I'm just going to paste what I copied from my paste bin over there. And this is going to give all of the basic instructions that I want Windsurf to follow. And so you can see it's requiring that it update a documentation.md and a readme.md. Those two files, the way I use those two files while vibe coding is in order to help Windsurf stay on track. So by observing and updating this file, it's able to kind of stay on track throughout the course of the project. Now, you'll see that I've got a couple of files in here. I've got a couple things in here that I don't have yet. Like, for example, ACF examples only.php, and then also the project spec.txt. Let's go ahead and create that now. So I'm going to create a new file, call it project spec.txt. And inside of here, I'm just going to give a couple of notes. I'm going to say, okay, so that's enough for right now. I'm going to go back to Cascade. I'll close out these and let's begin. So right now, as you can see, the only files that we've got in the WP Vibes folder are CSS, JavaScript folders, and then the project spec.txt. Oh, there's one more thing I want to add on here. Okay. Okay, that's good enough for now. Now, and we're just going to come off the top of the head. So first of all, let me see if we can. Yeah. So we can't. Okay. First of all, so the first thing that we're going to do before writing our prompt is pick our model. And so I'm going to start with Claude 3.7 Sonnet. Okay. Now we could actually, let me see, we don't have 3.0 here yet. We've got we got 04 mini and 04 medium, 04 medium and 04 high free. But I'm going to start this off with 3.7 Sonnet because I know it's a good solid model and it's going to use thinking in order to start this project. But then after we get it started, we can switch over, and sometimes you use 4.1, but we can also experiment with 04 mini and high. Now, the good thing about 3.7 is that it accepts images. And the reason why we want it to accept images is because I want it to actually see the homepage that we're going to build. And I'm going to, so let's go ahead and give it a prompt. Let's say, okay, so here's the prompt. I'm going to go ahead and run this with the image. And let me see, let me think. Is there anything else I want to do before this? Oh, there's one other thing I want to do. One other thing I want to do is let's, the one other thing I want to do is create a screenshot.png file. So I'm just going to make it a square. It'll scale down. I mean, we can actually make it. I mean, technically it's supposed to be 300 by 300. It went to 300 inches. Let's make it 300 pixels. All right, so here we go. All right, so now I'll go ahead and export this. We're going to name it screenshot.png. So now you see it right here. So now when we run this, when we upload the theme, we'll have a screenshot showing. It'll be that screenshot. So let's go ahead and run this and see what we get. Now, we can observe the thought process. And, you know, it's pretty cool to kind of watch it work. But you see, it starts off, I need to help the user create a WordPress theme based on the instructions in the project spec.txt file. Now, notice here go the first update. It has created the style sheet, the style.css file, which is a critical file for a WordPress theme. And we can scroll down and we can just kind of look. You can see the thought process for each point. So Cascade says, I'll help you create a WordPress theme based on the project spec and the screenshot you shared. First, let's take a look at the project spec file to understand the requirements. It breaks down, looks at the project spec. Now I'll check what files directories already exist in the project folder to understand what I'm working with. Analyze. I'll help you create a WordPress theme based on the screenshot and project spec. Let's start by creating the basic structure for the theme. First, let's create the essential theme files. So you see, then it create the style.css. You see it's created the functions.php file, which is over here. Let's put all of this code. So as you can see, none of this stuff existed before. And it's going to continue going on, creating each of the pages. So I have to accept that terminal command. And that's because, so when when it needs to run a terminal command to do certain things like create files, create folders, that sort of stuff, it uses terminal commands to do that. Because I have the setting turned off, like if I come here under Windsurf, you'll see terminal auto execution. I have mine turned off, but I could turn it on and I would not have to approve that, that stuff. But I have it turned off. I like to approve because sometimes it wants to create files or folders that I don't approve of. But in this case, I did approve of what it wanted to create. And so let's create the template functions.php file. Now, when it comes to accepting things like this code right here, anything that's over in these, I don't hit accept on these as they're coming along. I like to do it once it finished because Windsurf is going to go through and it may make changes to the files it's already created. As it's creating files, it's also observing the code that it's writing and everything. And then it'll go back sometimes and write more code. And so I go ahead and just let it finish before I do an accept. Then I just do an accept all at the end. So now it's creating the front page, front-page.php file. So now let's create the CSS to style our theme according to the screenshot. And so I'm going to go ahead and just let this run, and then I will resume the video once it completes. Unless there's something that I notice it does that I want to highlight, we'll just let it finish and then I will continue the video. Okay, so there goes the chime letting us know Windsurf is complete. And it actually updated the documentation. So now I'll go ahead and hit accept all. Okay. Now, if we look at the documentation, you can see the documentation that Windsurf created, the README, okay, and then all of the theme files. So I'm going to just upload this by right-clicking and selecting Upload Folder. Let me go ahead and open the terminal so that you can see it open. So you can see it upload. Okay, so we can see it transferring. So it's uploading all of the local files to the remote. Now, when we refresh, boom, here is our WP Vibes theme. If I hit the theme details, you can see it right here. We can activate. So now it's active. And so let me go ahead and create a home page. I can throw that sample page in the trash. But let's name it home. Publish. And then let's go to the settings, reading settings, and make it our home page. And so now, visit site. Okay. Look at there. So as you can see, we've got the theme. If we compare it, so if we compare it with the goal, and so you can see this is pretty accurate. So that's pretty cool, right? I'm going to go ahead and give Windsurf a thumbs up for that. Response looks pretty accurate to me. But now we need to iterate on this. Like, for example, we need to create ACF fields so that we can control each one of these points from the WordPress backend if we want to. Like, for example, these latest projects, we can create a custom post type, and then we can create a custom post type named projects, and then each custom post can have a featured image, title, description, all of that stuff. And then we can load them in dynamically. That way, each time we create a new one, it automatically shows here. And all sorts of stuff, create additional pages, etc. And actually, let's see. Now we have the WordPress menu. So let's go ahead and create a menu and it should show up. So we want this to be primary menu, and it's going to be for the primary menu in the footer. And let's just put home link. And then let's put just a couple links. 1, 2. Just to populate that area a little bit. Refresh. And here we have it right here, the navigation menu. If we add, let's say, for example, if I add uncategorized link right there, and if I click it, it takes us to the uncategorized page, but this page looks horrible. But we haven't had it do any work on this page, but it does work. This sidebar area is actually what looks horrible, and there's no header area. So we have to iterate and tell it to do all of that. But this works. It's a WordPress theme. It just needs iteration. And that's what we're going to do in the next video. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. And I will post the next video very soon showing the updates that we're going to make.